Could a big move still be on the way for your Boston Celtics before the 25-26 season gets underway? We're less than a month away from training camp, and some Celtics insiders over at NBC Sports Boston broke down some big moves they would make if they were Brad Stevens before the season tips off. We'll break them all down in just a moment, but I got to ask you guys first, should the Celtics make another move before the season begins, or do you think the roster is all good as it currently stands? Let me know down in the comments section, yes or no, and if you say yes, what move would you make? All right, Chris Forsberg, the resident insider over at NBC Sports Boston, said the following, that his move would be trading Anfernee Simons, of course, that's been the talk of the summer so far, for a package of Dosunmu, Jalen Smith, and Dalen Terry of the Chicago Bulls to get under the luxury tax. However, that trade does not get the Celtics all the way under the luxury tax, so there will be more moves to follow. But let's just take it as in a vacuum. Dosunmu is a good basketball player, man. We'll talk about him at length in just a moment. Jalen Smith is a center that has way more NBA experience than any center that is on the Celtics roster at this point. And Dalen Terry is a young athletic forward. He would kind of just be fodder to get the salaries underway so the Bulls wouldn't have to take on too much in the Simons contract, which is $27 million. Here's what Forsberg's justification was on the move. He said the Celtics shed nearly $6 million off the books with this deal and would have pathways to eventually get below the tax, particularly if they can move a player like Dalen Terry to a third team without taking back salary. Boston looks at Dosunmu, who better fits the mold of a long-term piece and can decide if it wants to pay his next deal. That makes a lot of sense, man. Dosunmu and Forsberg's kind of rationale for the whole scenario is trade Anfernee Simons away in a way to get under the luxury tax at some point and bring back a player who you feel confident in as a member of the core for the foreseeable future. You don't want to trade away Simons for completely nothing like you did with Kristaps Porzingis. He's a better player. He's going to be more available, and he's younger as well. So you want to get some value back, and maybe that would be more advantageous to you if you keep Anfernee Simons. But if this trade's out there, I would be all for it because Dosunmu is a really, really good player in this league. Two-way ability, can handle the rock, can play off of the ball, can shoot the outside shot at a pretty solid clip as well, and he's on an absolute bargain. Only for this upcoming season, though, unfortunately. Makes $7.5 million. Like, that's Peyton Pritchard type of money. And if you can get guys at that type of value in this league, you're literally stealing. And it's unfortunate that Io isn't getting more in his bank account than what he currently has on his deal. You will have to extend him, though, next summer. Those could potentially be a non-taxpayer mid-level exception guy if you escape the luxury tax and avoid the repeater penalties and have the ability to spend $14 to $15 million on a player like Io, because I think he arguably deserves more than that, man. He's gotten better pretty much every single season of his career. I know the three-point marksmanship wasn't all that great this past year in Chicago, but, I mean, the situation down there has never been all that good, and you can still see that Dosunmu is a very valuable player in this league. Shot at a 40% clip, and it was a 50% overall field goal shooter back in 23-24. Somebody who's been pretty available throughout his entire career as well. Before this season, played 76 or more games the previous three. So I like bringing him in. And look, he could be a player you pair alongside Derek White, Peyton Pritchard in the backcourt for the foreseeable future here, as JT and JB are going to be your wings, and then you figure out the front court thereafter. So would you guys make this trade? I mean, you have Jalen Smith there as well. He's on a 2-year deal. A for accept, D for decline. Would you make this deal with the Bulls that sheds off a little bit of salary and it could potentially get you under the tax if you flip one of those two guys after Io? It's an instant accept for me. Like, that is a bar none instant accept. I love Dosunmu, and the Celtics need more dogs on the roster, especially coming off of the bench. They really lost a lot of the defensive identity that they had for that championship run a couple seasons ago. So I think maybe getting a guy for the foreseeable future that can help you in that department is a good route to go, especially considering Anfernee Simons is not a good defender. Look, I'm trying to trade him, and that's a great deal, but this next one we're going to talk about is probably not one that I'd be too interested in. Josh Canoe had this trade idea, and is with the Bulls as well. It sends Nikola Vucevic over to Boston in exchange for Anfernee Simons, and I just don't think Vuce is that valuable of a player at this point. Look, I understand that the front court in Boston is a mess, but does Nikola Vucevic really clean up any of that mess? I don't think so. He's a complete non-factor on defense. He's just retired from international basketball, so like, how much reliance can you really put on him? Plus, he's a 1-year rental. How much of an ability will you have to trade him at the deadline, given that you're not going to get under the luxury tax if you just make a one-for-one swap of Anfernee Simons for Vuce? So you probably have to deal him eventually too, and there's not going to be a huge market for him in February, I would presume. So this move I'm pretty much out on. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, though, as we'll get to a couple more moves from some Celtics insiders in just a second. But we upload daily Celtics videos here on the channel. Breaking news coverage as well. I know the well is pretty dry right now, but we're going to start ramping up as we get closer and closer to training camp. We'll be doing live watch parties as well this upcoming season. I know it's a gap year, but we're still going to be rooting on the C's night in and night out. It's all 100% free Celtics coverage, so join the 53,000 Celtics fans that have already subscribed and turn notifications on as well so you never miss a moment here at Celtics Today. The next move was made by Max Letterman, a content producer over at NBC Sports Boston, and he says hire Isaiah Thomas, and he said either as a player or on the coaching staff or somewhere in the building, just get Isaiah Thomas back because he is still uneasy about how things were left between IT and Boston back in 2017. They traded him for Kyrie Irving after he put his body on the line, played for his sister in the playoffs. Like, look, IT is one of my first true loves in basketball, man. Of course I watched the KG and Paul Pierce era, the Ray Allen, the Rondo when I was growing up. But, I mean, when I first got to high school and, like, really started analytically looking at the game of basketball, Isaiah Thomas and Celtics, man, those were my guys. And I am still a little bit upset about how things ended up. But I just don't think he is worthy of an NBA roster spot at this point in his career. Hasn't played even last season. And, I mean, look, if he's on the coaching staff, I'd be all for it. But this is probably would be my number one priority move to make at this point in the offseason. Next move coming in from Dar Hartwell. And this is a trade idea that's definitely interesting here because you get rid of Anfernee Simons, but you don't get anybody as good as Dosunmu back in the deal. You get Terrence Mann, you get Ochai Agbaji, a young-ish, intriguing player from Toronto in this deal. You send Anfernee Simons up to the north, and then R.J. Barrett goes from Toronto to the Brooklyn Nets in this scenario. The Celtics send away a second-round pick, but you're getting back Terrence Mann, who makes around $15 million a season for the next two. And I don't know if the Celtics would be willing to bring that on, considering I think he's a little bit overpaid. And are the Celtics going to be competing with Terrence Mann over the next two seasons? Probably not. So I'm kind of in on this trade. I probably would just try to flip Terrence Mann at the deadline, and then you rock with Ochai Agbaji and whatever you get from Mann as your return on Simons. The next move made by Sean McGuire, a web producer over on the site. He says bring back Al Horford because Horford is not officially signed with the Golden State Warriors just yet. That is the presumption across the NBA. As it stands right now, Horford will be signing a 2-year deal, 1+1 with a player option to be in Golden State as he enters his age 39 season. I would love to bring back Al Horford, man, but Celtics aren't going to compete. I mean, I know the front court's a problem, but it doesn't look like he is looking to solve that problem at this point, looking to probably compete in the Western Conference with Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond. All right, Kevin Miller, the VP of content over at NBC Sports Boston, says, keep Anfernee Simons. Let's run it. Let's see what he can bring and provide to the offense. Look, I don't necessarily think this is the wrong decision. I don't think it's a right or wrong decision with Simons. If Brad Stevens believes in him as a player, then I believe in him as a player. If Brad Stevens believes that the Celtics' priority should be getting underneath the luxury tax, and unfortunately Simons is the casualty of that, then I believe in Brad Stevens' mentality in there. Like, I think Anfernee Simons is a good player. He's played in a losing basketball organization for the past 5 years. So if he's playing in a little bit more of a winning environment, maybe he can provide a little bit more and maybe bump that trade stock up as well. But either way, I think he is a good fit in Joe Mazzulla's offense and could eventually be a long-term fit for Boston, but he would have to take a pay cut based on what he makes right now. And I don't know if he or his agency and representatives would be looking for that. So everything's up in the air with Anfernee Simons at this point. I believe in Brad Stevens with whatever decision he ends up making. What would you guys do with Anfernee Simons? Let me know in the comment section. Type T for trade, type K for keep. I want to know, is the most intriguing question mark Boston Celtic that we've had in a long time because he's yet to play a game with on the roster just yet, and there's been nonstop trade rumors about him since he has been acquired. All right, next up, should the Celtics sign a top free agent left in the NBA? That's the last move that was made by a member over at NBC Sports Boston. We'll get to it in just a moment, but first, get hooked up with this awesome deal. Jason Tatum jerseys, they are on sale. Chatsports.com/Tatum shirt. I know he won't be playing this season, but you can rock this literally any time in your life. It's a Celtics green jersey. It's never going out of style. Chatsports.com/Tatum shirt. They're all on sale, and the sizes are available. So get yours today. That link's in the comment section and description of today's video. Alrighty, sign Malik Beasley, huh? All right, I'm kind of for this. All right, on the onset, I'm kind of for this. Shout out to Adam Hart, the executive producer of content strategy over at NBC Sports Boston. Malik Beasley was lights out from three-point range last year. I'm talking one of the best three-point shooting seasons of all time because he was shooting it at a 41.5% clip on 11 attempts a game. It was nuts. And look, he's was under investigation for the gambling. Looked like he was throwing games. A couple of clips were circulating Twitter. They looked like there was some evidence there, but he was cleared of wrongdoing. The charges, I guess, have been dropped. There's no investigation going on anymore with Malik Beasley, and he is set to sign with any team that he would like in the NBA, as he's an unrestricted free agent. He was set to be one of the more marquee unrestricted free agents at the beginning of the summer, then got hit with all that investigation, and now he's sitting here when the free agency well is dry without a deal. Could it be with Boston? I would love it, to be honest. Like, yeah, he's not going to give you much on the defensive end, but if you guys are looking to win basketball games next season, Malik Beasley being out there in the free agency pool is awesome. But at the same time, he's going to cost you, quite frankly, because he was going to sign a big deal before the investigation and stuff began. Shams Charania, I remember, reported that sources say that Beasley and the Detroit Pistons were set to complete a 3-year, $42 million contract. He was set to make the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. And the Boston Celtics just don't have that type of money. Adam Hart did say that they should free up money in order to go out there and do it, but that would create a lot of loopholes. And even if they did free up the money to go out there and sign Malik Beasley to a deal like that, you wouldn't be below the luxury tax, like I think would be a little bit bigger of a priority for Boston. So with that being said, I think the Celtics are done making moves before the season, to be honest with you. It's unfortunate because I don't think this roster's in a place to compete, but at the same time, I don't really know if I want to compete next season. I would be okay kind of with getting a priority draft pick and seeing what that could net you in the next year's draft, or see what that could net you in a trade at some point during next offseason. But it doesn't look like the market's really out there for a Simons trade right now, and if that doesn't happen, I think Brad Stevens and the C's are just going to roll with the roster they got heading into training camp. That will do it for today's edition of Celtics Today by Chat Sports. Hit me up on Twitter. We can talk more C's over there at Tyler J. Smith. 2 H's in it because the name's common, but I am not. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We'll be continuing the Celtics coverage for the remainder of the offseason and into the regular season as well. We'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, let's go C's.